One thing it does have in common with all the other monk-related liqueurs is a secret recipe. Hello and welcome to My Tiny Bottles, the project where I'm exploring my grandmother's legacy of miniature liquor bottles, one tiny bottle at a time. I'm your host, Tammy Coxon. Of the cocktail classes I teach, Drink Like a Monk has been one of the most popular. In it, I talk about the great French herbal liqueur chartreuse, which was and actually is made by monks. I talk about bottle number 56, Benedictine, which claims an ancient monk origin story that may or may not be true. And I talk about bottle 108, Frangelico, which is not now and never has been made by monks. But it sure looks like it should be. The brand's bottle is shaped like the habit of a Franciscan friar, right down to the rope tied around the waist, although my bottle has sadly lost its rope. Today, that rope is a stretchy cord that's almost certainly applied by a machine, but for much of the brand's history, each of those little ropes was hand-tied. And that history isn't very long. Frangelico was introduced in 1978 by the Barbero 1891 company. The company was, shockingly, started by the Barbero family in 1891 in the Piedmont region of Italy. It was originally a winery, but after World War II, the third generation of family owners decided to expand production to include things like vermouth. In 1960, they launched Amaro di Frate di Jesus, a bittersweet liqueur that was packaged in that iconic bottle. In 1978, they repurposed the bottle to release Frangelico, a hazelnut liqueur. Now, Di Jesus does claim to be produced according to a secret recipe handed down by the monks of the Order of St. Benedictine, but to their credit, Frangelico just claims inspiration. Monks have been living in that part of Italy for 300 years. Check. One of the skills they practiced was distilling. Check. One of the things that they distilled were the very famous hazelnuts that the region is known for. Entirely likely. The name is taken from a particular monk, Frate or Father Angelico, who local legend claims lived in the hills during the 17th century. Which is great. I like things that link to their local history and culture, as long as they're not claiming that they're using the exact recipe the hermit inscribed on the rocks of his cave, which they're not. So as far as origin stories go, this one gets the My Tiny Bottle seal of approval. If you think about how popular bottle number 10, Di Serrano Amoroso, was in the 1970s and 80s, it should be no surprise that the market was ready for another sweet and nutty liqueur. Frangelico is both of those things. The main flavoring ingredient is the Ton de Gentile hazelnut, which grows in the region. It has its own protected geographical designation, like Chianti does for wine. The toasted nuts are macerated in alcohol and water and then distilled to produce a hazelnut distillate. That is then flavored with various other ingredients to create a concentrate, which gets blended with alcohol, water, and sugar to create the finished product. One thing it does have in common with all the other monk-related liqueurs is a secret recipe, but a few of the additional flavorings are known. There's cacao beans, coffee, rhubarb root, sweet orange flowers, and something called vanilla berries. These don't exist, so they must mean vanilla pods. It is odd that what is probably a mistranslation from Italian would persist from the oldest version of the website I could find, from 2009, to the current live page. And it means that some sources claim vanilla and then berries as an additional ingredient, which I'm pretty sure there are not. With that 1978 release date and that gorgeous novelty-shaped bottle, this would have been an obvious choice for Grandma's collection. To try to pin a date on the bottle, I looked at proof and labels. Frangelico was originally released at 28% alcohol by volume, before dropping to 24% at a time I annoyingly have not been able to pinpoint, and then to 20% in 2010 after it was sold to Campari. Mine is at 28%, so not that helpful. Illustrations of the label in advertising and pictures on auction sites were more useful. The front bottle label has always relayed the story of Father Angelico, but the language and appearance has changed. In the late 70s and early 80s, it was just a stream of text with highlighted first letters. By the 1990s, there are fewer statements and gold lines separating them. There was also a slight change to the Barbero logo itself that shows up in 1984 advertising. That bottle perfectly matches mine, so I would guess it's from somewhere around then. My memories of Frangelico are mostly from the 90s, when my friends and I would mix it up into boozy milkshakes. Do you have a favorite Frangelico drink to share? Leave a comment below or at mytinybottles.com or find me on social media. I'm at TammyLC on Blue Sky and at My Tiny Bottles on Instagram and Facebook. I'd love to hear from you. Cheers!